All right, let's start. It's 6 o'clock.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Lean in India today is very excited to partner with Sipping Thoughts to bring you a session on 10 imperfect tips for managing this new normal with Richa Kapoor, founder of Sensitivity and also a parenting expert. The session focuses on how we all need to embrace parenting imperfections in this new normal when life seems to be more busy than usual. I'm Urvi Juneja, VP at Genpact and chapter lead at Lean in India. Life, as you all know, has really becoming a juggling act, especially for working mothers. And really, we don't have to start killing ourselves in this whole process to become a perfect parent. We need to start embracing imperfections in our parenting style and start adopting that as our new normal. This will really lighten our approach, make things, lighter for us, and, in the long run, create more functionality for our kids. And I think reduce pressure overall. So when we see other parents doing things differently, we analyze and strive for perfection. We try to emulate, but really, everyone's ecosystem is each one to its own. So maybe jazz is better than ballet. So let's hear about this from our speaker today. So about our speaker, Richa Kapoor. Richa is a MOT gold specialist, has 20 years of experience in child development, behavior, and learning. She has touched thousands of families, helping them find the right direction in nurturing their kids and understanding responsible approach to parenting. She's presently a senior consultant, occupational therapist with Sir Gangaram Hospital and Apollo Cradle. She has developed specific protocols for children with any developmental concerns in an optimum learning environment. Sensitivity and nurturing paths clinics are well known spaces in this domain. Just briefly about our partner, Sipping Thoughts. Sipping Thoughts is a multi platform media company co founded by Sukirti Gupta and Meeta Gutgutia. It was set keeping in mind real women, real thoughts, a no judgment platform where they want to create a network of women for women. And now about Lean in India. Lean in India is the official national chapter for Lean in India. Lean is a community founded by Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg that empowers women towards their ambition. Lean in India aims to contribute towards encouraging more women in leadership positions through peer circles, campaigns, collaborations, and events. Our aim is to increase representation of women in leadership roles by enabling more women in the workforce. With this, I want to hand over to our speaker, Richa, today to kickstart the conversation. Welcome, Richa, and we look forward to hearing you.
Thank you, Urvi. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, Sukirti. Um, Thank you for having me over. It's a wonderful time to be talking on this. We are all going through cycles of change over the past 2 years, and finally the school gates opened, and we some of us are sending the kids. We're so excited. Some of us are still inhibited, and life is again taking turns with our work, our home, and the new normal with kids. So yeah, the excitement, the buzz is all over, and since we decided we're going to have some 10 imperfect tips, I thought let me just put it down on the pointers so to be going them point wise. But the very topic that we took up today, imperfect parenting, is such a the right nomenclature to the parenting world. I mean, this journey when we embark on, and as we discussed, it's such a unpredictable, the biggest risk that you take up, and every day it's like you're on yourself, especially as mothers. Did I do it right? Did I was I too loud today? I shouldn't have said that. Should I send tomorrow to the school? Should I just wait and watch? What are the others doing? Let me chat in the group to see how many moms are sending, what all classes are happening. So it's on our mind always. And putting them here, I mean, and that's why it's imperfect, because the world is so imperfect. We've seen now, we never imagined we were talking, but we've seen the imperfections in the world, imperfections in ourselves, and therefore no parenting can be perfect to say so. And it doesn't mean that we don't do things by the book. We don't do things which we like. Yes, we do. We have to. The mothers are all about, so when I deal with the families, and sometimes the mothers would come and say, oh, I've been thinking about this, but nobody listens to me. My husband says, oh, you overthink. My mother-in-law says, it was like with my son as well, and therefore I've been kind of holding on to this, whether there's something. And I would say you're never wrong. Come up with your instinct. So yes, first of all, it's what you know is the best, and you need to communicate that well to everyone around you if you need support. But trust yourself to what you're doing is good for your child, and it won't be maybe right, perfect, but we'll all grow together in our journey of parenting with our kids. So I'll share my slides and just take small pointers. There may be small things that technically we know are perfect, but I've specifically taken them to tell you that we do things imperfectly. So moving on, let's start with tip number 1, which is a hidden trial approach to what you do. There are methods now to each thing. Your diets, your own diet, your kids' diet. This is right. When are you supposed to scold? When are you supposed to keep quiet? When are you supposed to put them to bed? So everything is now, as and more busier you are, you also want to streamline things. And then we look for the tried and tested approaches. 1, try the hit and trial method. The whole medical science, the whole research on every drug, we've seen is based on hit and trial. Okay, this didn't work. Let me try this. So when you're trying something with your child, so with every age group, you're with a toddler, whether you're with your primary school child or an adolescent, every stage comes with new challenges, comes with new ideations, and sit with your child and say, okay, let's try to do this way. Even when you're trying to discipline or teach a good behavior, there could be ways where I may have liked the approach because it worked as a shortcut for me. Because when I shout and when I say, okay, now enough of it, sit and let's do it, it worked. But what thought and feeling came up in my child's mind? Next day, I may just join them in their chaos and be a part of it. And then I tried this, and this too worked, but it took longer, but it worked. And there was a spark in the child when I joined in his or her play. So the first imperfect parenting is to have a hit and try approach. We do read up, these days every parent would Google simple thing. 1 a.m. of the night, my kid is crying, I need to check. What is it? Okay, it could be stomach ache, it could be this. And now forget all that. Try your thing. Okay, let me just cuddle the baby now. Let me just let the baby cry. So the first tip we all need to do is, it's okay to believe in your instincts and do the hit and trial approach. So, which I mean to say, there's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. Very importantly, when we all said that we aren't perfect ourselves, and when I talk about it, sometimes I get angry, sometimes I'm okay. So when I'm imperfect, I would know how to deal with it. And then when I talk about it to my child, I'm good with it. They know, okay, mom learns to try things herself. She doesn't know the right way herself. So I'll also deal it that way. So the ultimate thing is to make your children learn to know and learn to communicate and learn to figure out, develop that skill of brainstorming and decision making by doing thing which is, kind of getting indecisive. Coming on to tip number 2, engage and let go. When I say imperfect parenting, and the difference is you're not a disengaged parent. You know everything. You do connect at various levels. You talk about it, you offer solutions, and then you let go. let go and let them figure out their own path. Let them figure out how this could have been, done, whether it may result in a failure. Our biggest fear is our kids' failure. What if he or she, went out and didn't do what I taught and what school has taught, or if the performance on the stage wouldn't have been that. So I would not reach and go out till the end to make sure everything goes perfectly, but I do talk about it. And very, very important to let go of certain things that, whatever I'm talking is not absolutely 100% for every situation. These are new normal tips when you know that I got back and I got to know, something didn't go well, and I spoke about it. It's all right, it didn't go well, and so what were our options? And okay, this could have been done, and now you're on your own for the next week. But mama, you need to tell me, how do I do this tomorrow? You have to sit with me in my class. I won't be able to sit. You write the essay and give it to me. You do it for me. You'll figure out things for me. And sometimes we take a lot of pride in doing that. Oh, okay, let me do it because this will give them better scores, or this will. But if you say, it's okay, you may do a mediocre job, but I gave you, you've given subtle hints. This is where you could look up for things from. This is where you could do, you could, so your engagement is creating one link and then letting go, creating the another link, having a plain chain, and then getting back to. So it is your omnipresence behind the scene which is most important, rather than shadowing and helicoptering it. So when I say it, you are there, but you aren't even there. Even if you're a working mom or you're a stay-at-home mom, in both the cases, this is very true. And as working parents, we always say, oh, she's at home, she can manage things. I have little time in hand. I have my meetings and therefore certain things. And so when I get back, I want to be, then again, I to do this, but I would be driving back and I know, okay, I need to spend this 1.5 hours with my child. So even if I'm spending those 5-7 minutes and then I'm on my own, it's all right. I engaged at, no, your question isn't, kya kiya at school mein? What happened? What was did you submit your homework? What were your marks? This is not engagement. This is not what it means by connecting with your child. Your real engagement is when you came back, come on, sit with me. When I missed you, and what went, who came in, who called. And I don't talk about the academic or the performance based things till last. Let the child start that conversation. So my engagement is when the child knows she'll talk to me for things that are not scoreable, that are not deliverables, but there are things which are general. I start talking about how my day went by. I had a tough day. I couldn't even have my lunch, and I really wanted to talk to you. Or so it's okay to talk there, and you just didn't talk about the grades that you wanted to know so desperately, and let them come in a very subtle way. So when we teach our children to empower themselves, not by the scores, by the performances, of course they are important, and they would be, if there is something really that important, you would have got a call, you would have been informed, and hence, yes, we'll talk more about it, is what happens, and therefore it does happen. But whatever I'm talking about are all mediocre things, are all mediocre incidents of the day, which we inflate by, did this thing happen? Did you attend your online classes? Well, I know you must have been sleeping, and our thing goes on and on. So I wholeheartedly believe that when you're fully engaged in parenting, regardless of how imperfect, vulnerable, and messy it is, we are creating something sacred. When sometimes things are in a mess, there is more coordination in the family, there is more connection in the family, and therefore engage and let go is our mantra. Tip number 3, very important for a lot of behaviors these days that we are noticing. Such long hours in the day, especially where siblings are there. They're typical small fights. Mama, you're not giving me this, you're not letting me attend my class. Her volume, her laptop is, I'm screeching into my room, and there are always these things
Chick, chick.
happening, tick happening. So don't react. Just sit there with a smile and see, and sometimes say, oh, I think you need to sort it out amongst yourself. You like my right and you like my left eye, so I can't take sides. I just need, and I don't know the whole scenario. So you're not reacting. I'm sure, and I can guarantee your kids will do much better by your non-interference there and non-reactions. The moment you react, especially the younger ones, I get to hear from a lot of mothers, the young mothers, is, ma'am, I would, he would wait for me. He starts throwing things now, and now he waits, who's watching, and now I need to throw. There are attention seeking behaviors which have inflated in our practice. We're seeing them in super high, because they've got used to the attention now. They've got used to the fact that everybody is watching me, they're all there for me, and therefore now, and especially the younger ones, the terrible twos is where they say that I run the house. There's a picture of the great grandfather there, and he's smiling. I don't want him to be smiling in the picture. Change it. This is this kind of random, nonsensical demands, and they're doing it all the more, especially when I'm in my meeting. Don't come to my room, and there is this knock happening the moment you've said that, because you react. You'll open the door and say, oh, I told you not to do it, and that's what the kid wanted. So it's somewhere, if you'll stop reacting. Adolescents again, they want this. Oh, mom, I watched this. I need this. I need the Zara stuff. This my merchandise from this brand, and therefore oh no, you've already spent so much. You won't get it this month. And if you, oh yeah, obviously you're not ordering it at the moment. But if you've acknowledged and you've not reacted to by putting in your budgetary constraints or your, I don't approve of this constraints, you will be much better off. So keep observing and less reacting to things. A lot of work is done by your silence and a smile that can, it will definitely come back. Oh, you're not answering, you're not saying things. Oh yes, I'm thinking about it. We'll maybe talk about it over a Sunday or the next weekend. So sometimes just giving it time, and they forget about it. They just don't want it anymore, and they're happy about it. So tip number 4, if you would just see, I just reversed. I didn't observe, but I reacted. Just absorb this. With this, you observed, and I asked you not to react. Here, there is something you didn't observe, but you know how mothers are. We know everything. Even if you are not at home, you know something has happened. So you didn't observe, but here you have to react. Where you know something didn't happen in front of you, and probably there will be incidents when they're trying to not tell you because mama gussa ho jayegi, ya not tell you because it wasn't right. And then you have to think the right way to react. And when I say the right way to react, the best way is to take it up in an indirect way. Once when I was small and I was doing this, Nani told me this, but I kind of didn't agree, and this happened. And they know where you're going. You didn't get to the topic directly. You didn't preach about it, but you reacted, which age appropriately, obviously, reached to the point where, of course, it was, your reaction was very important. So this connotation of opposites is really going to be helpful, and you're going to be very tactful to understand that when you didn't observe and you still reacted, you're omnipresent. You're there for your child. You're there, and you don't have to really verbalize it. sometimes, but verbalizing it indirectly, reacting to situations in a very calm, subtle, polite, communicative way is the right approach. So selective ignorance, a cornerstone of child rearing. You don't put kids under surveillance. It might frighten you. Parents should sit tall in the saddle and look upon their troops with a noble and benevolent and extremely nearsighted gaze. It has to be nearsighted. Don't have a foresight for things beyond you. Tip 5, let them always win the power struggle. They were always superior. They are the next generation. They've come after 25, 30, 35 years. And most of the tips in homes, most of the anger issues are because of power struggle. I am the mom. We are the parents. We know what's right for you. You've not seen the world yet. I know this is. So be tactful. When you bow and accept and be tactful, oh yeah, I guess you know better, but maybe if I could try offering you an option and we could both work it out together is very important. And I have to say this especially again to the very young parents again who have, the freshly read all the parenting books and have decided on the norms. Just one sec. Yeah. So and they'll say, ma'am, he's too small, he's just 2, he's just 3, he needs to know that we decide for him, he already throws a tantrum. And and I tell them, if he gets to know you're powerful, if he gets to know that you are the one who decides, you'll never gel with the kid. But without letting the child know, you're tactful enough to handle the situation in a way that, of course, you decide, of course, you know better, of course, you will know, you have all the experience, but saying it so will make it all go wrong, will reverse the whole scenario at any age. As mothers now, and now even if at this stage we talk to our parents about something and it's, oh, and we say, okay, obviously now we are young, we're earning, we know things, and you kind of getting old, sometimes you'll get those vibes from them. They don't like hearing that now. हाँ तो तुम बहुत तुम समझदार हो गए हो ना. And now you see the kind of impulses our kids have anywhere, 0 to 20 if they are, or elder. They know what, I know this gadget, how this works. You don't know anything, mom. And you like, our ego goes for a toss at times. Let it be, oh yes, I guess you know better. So just by saying it, just by making them feel better at the moment and showing their thing, the superiority, the power thing in their hand, it's absolutely fine. They connect with you again much better. So let's leave the power struggle, especially in present times. I can't. So trying to win a power struggle is like trying to win a nuclear war. You may achieve your goal, but not without catastrophic casualties on both sides. So there won't be ever, you will leave a feeling of the feeling of not being given enough in the child if you go by this norm. Tip number 6. I hope I'm not going to ignite many negative war here. We should love the screen time. We should have pizza every day. And then the life is easy, isn't it? So half of the time, I read a quote again that said that 70% of the parenting time goes in telling children about what not to do, the importance of healthy food, the importance of sleeping early, reading and not being on screen, of course. So what if, especially when we were locked down and we were all, what if I join you in watching your Doraemon, or if I join you in catching up with an episode of Friends, if now you're starting to watch it and relive my youth with you, And why not we do it together after the day of hard work that we all did, whatever we did, household work, or we were studying, you have their online classes, we have our own meetings, and then we sit together 2 hours, 3 hours, and it won't be enough. As such, again, statistics say that we spend 70% of time on our screens of the time that we're supposed to spend either with our kids or on screens. So our screen time is 70%, and only 15 to 20% is the actual talking time with our kids. So if that's decided that, okay, we're watching it together, we're doing things what you like, and then maybe taking turns with our own favorites, life will be much easier. And nobody will, if you'll tell your kid we're eating pizza every day, third day they would want your dal sabzi. So using reverse psychology is very important. Present times, we so much, again, going by the same, we so much by the rights and the wrongs of things, that if and every time it's such an impulse now, it's such a pattern in our brain. The moment your kid comes, oh, I don't want to eat the dal today, can I order pizza? No, you ordered it last Saturday, we're not doing it. So what if every time this is going to happen, your mouth will blurt with a no, and there is this today you cooked something which your child won't like, and you're expecting that this would happen. And sometimes without that, if I would say, okay, today I'm not cooking and maybe we're ordering pizza today, we do that rarely. So so it's like, okay, once in a month is my way of doing it. But what if it's done more frequently, and before your kid comes to you, okay, you're not liking your Karela today, I guess we need to do something fun. And why don't we plan to, and I'm not meaning to be sarcastic here, because most of the times, if it happens, it's in that tone. And it's like, oh yeah, I know you won't like it, and you'll now go to your daddy and you'll create. So don't use that tone. If your tone is nice, and because all that I'm saying may require a change of pattern, may require it would sound sarcastic. Oh no, this is not you, mom. This is not, usually you wouldn't do that. But yes, I'm changing. I might do it more. Everything that you do it in a tone that isn't loud, isn't sarcastic, isn't losing out on your own patience. And if it happens, if it definitely will happen, just tend to apologize, just tend to redo it. Sometimes I would do it with my daughter. I would lose it. I would tend to 10 families in a day, but sometimes when I come back, I've not unlearned everything, and I did. And I'll go, okay, let's rewind and let's do that scenario again. I'm sorry. And okay, come back with your demands. And now I'm doing it the other way around. So can we sometimes do like a rewind and a replay of the incident that happened and laugh it out? And you would see that things got much better. So love is actually watching someone else's boring show on TV. We do that have to make sure you're doing things, especially in the new normal. Tip number 7, take the road less traveled. We always want to go by what's tried and tested again. Okay, these classes, everybody recommends, she's the best instructor for this class. I would also go there. I need to check out the reviews of what this person, this class, this thing offers to my child. I need to check out 10 times, make sure, go there and do things what everybody else in my mom's group is doing. Undo it. Learn to take the road less traveled. If your child is asking for something really retro, and it's nobody these days goes for those things, acknowledge it, accept it, go ahead with it. If there's a young person whom you met and has never taught kids, but is looking really exciting, try it out and give that opportunity to your child to engage with somebody who might give more time and is fresh, would come up with new ideas. And so doing something which now the populace is not doing, which majority of us aren't doing, because nobody goes there anymore or nobody does those things anymore. I would still want to do it for my child, and you would see there'll be much more calm, there will be much more happiness in things that were not as much with the popular stuff that we always now want to do. So a normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow on it. So when I say take the road less traveled, it may have flowers. It will, so which say there'll be more beauty, there'll be more good smell, there'll be more happiness. So try that. Again, tip 8, similar to one of our previous ones, to avoid the tried and tested methodologies. There are methods to everything now we do. No, there is the, I've been reading books which talk about the tried and tested sleep methodologies, that is method to follow a certain, even if I'm enrolling my child for basketball, there is a method to follow. First this will happen, ma'am, then this will happen, and then I get super impressed. Okay, this is what is a method. There isn't a sense of erraticness, but so much of coordination, decisiveness, so much of your own brain work happens when you are trying things. And when not just you are trying things, when you're giving your kids the method to create those methods. Our research again has shown the level of imagination, the level of creative thinking has gone down 70% in the last 6-7 years. Perhaps when we were kids, we did know our dictionaries, we would look up 4 books to create our project. Here now, everything is Googled. I don't want to think anything. I don't want to brainstorm myself. And this is what is happening because there is such a preset thing that we would just derive things from and do it. And our kids have gotten used to the same pattern. They would, if you have a 7-year-old and he's given a homework to write down about B.R. Ambedkar. I mean, okay, Google it, copy paste from 2-3 sites, you're done. And you don't even read it, what you've done nicely, because it's the method, because it doesn't interest me. And this is how things are. What you're trying to do is, if you would have started the creativity, the prospect of imagination, and undone things that were the way it was done, I would want our kids to have that sense of helplessness, to know now what I do, what do I do? The teenagers, 16-year-olds today would not have the strategy of logical thinking, making a judgment over things. And I really meet very smart, very smart young people who would not know to navigate going from one point to the other, apart from if they don't have their own car and driver. So what are we doing to our generation by being over safe and going by the tested ways? Give them openness, give them the opportunities. Of course, safety, of course, knowing limits is what we want them to be. And therefore our tips initially, when we are there, we are engaging and letting go, gets back. And tip number 9, please normalize prioritizing emotional needs over their homework and your job or housework. It's important to know and be able to understand each other's emotions, the pangs that are going through. We've been dealing with so many unsaid anxieties that kids have gone through in these last 2 years, loss of a family member, not being able to talk about it, not understanding what's happening, because when you were pressed on time, you only knew that the homework has to be submitted tomorrow. There are tests coming in, and therefore, let's talk it about later. Please open up your own emotions in front of them. I was so taken aback when somebody got sick, and there were times I was so fearful. Now things are better. Children again these days do not even know how to, don't know the right words to use for the kind of emotion they feel. Everything comes under the big bannered emotions. So I am so taken aback, and they're, especially the ones who start talking about their emotions, pre-adolescent and adolescent kids, but they don't have the right words. They have words which are cuss words, and they would put everything under the same umbrella. Do I differentiate between what feeling fearful, frightened, scared, that they're different terms, or the happiness, uh, elation, all these are different words. And because I've never used those words with my kid in the right format, if I am so anxious, you're not doing your work properly, and I'm so upset with you, so our words, there could be further sub breaking down of the emotions that they need to understand, especially when they're now getting back to school. There are different kinds of anxieties we're hearing. There are school refusals. Now they've got so used to not getting up early in the morning, and therefore it's like, oh, nothing happens now. It's so what is nothing happens? What was supposed to happen? What is it at the emotional level of things? I don't want you to probe, but it's kind of knowing what it is. Because see, most of us are in that big normal boat, but when that periphery crosses, and when that goes into, for you never know, because the child never knew how to express it to you. Most of the times, again, the mothers would know internally, but there are no right words. Fathers would largely have, again, a restricted. So therefore, sons, boys, if you have, they need to be made very, very emotionally expressive, because they're going to be future fathers, and you are creating that as well. So we carry that conditioning with us, what parenting we got it, and now we want, and especially our fathers or the previous generations were, again, less expressive in emotions. Today, it's good to talk about it. We're seeing such a change in our society. There are new norms of not just schools or pandemic. There are new norms of gender. There are new norms of families, the kind of co-parenting that's happening. So everything is now, and everything needs to be taken normally. There has to be a sense of normalcy there. So therefore, an appropriate emotional, empathetic expression needs to be developed. So empathy is when a person accurately communicates that they see another's intentions and emotional state. It means watching a child's frustration and focusing on how life feels in that little child's body, while putting your own anger and agenda into the background. And finally, put all your guilt away. Parenting comes with the baggage of guilt every moment. Oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't care enough. This is where I would have done better by spending more time. My job doesn't give me enough time to spend with my kid. I have to engage this helper. I have to do this. Whatever you're doing is all good. Nothing is perfect. The guilt is actually when you're thinking, it's taking away that joyful time you could have spent with your child. Even those 5 minutes or a minute of guilt that you carry with yourself for not, because when we say it's not perfect, so there are going to be errors with these, and they're going to be lesser time in hand. There's going to be events happening, bringing those gaps. But if you've done everything longitudinally correct, you've communicated well, you know how you've nurtured the behavior well, when I say nurtured the behavior, I never told nurtured the scores, the marks, the academics. So that guilt won't come when the kid could come to you and talk about his own difficulties without, I see a lot of parents who would talk about things that have been happening in their homes for, say, a year or two with their kid, and they would come to them as a shocker. For the first time, they'll get to know and you wonder how was this happening staying in that same house. And we always think mere saath to nahi ho raha hai, ye to humne suna hai. You never know. So if the whole summary of all of this would be create a bond that is communicable from both sides, your engagement, your connection matters the most, and everything will fall into place. You will never increase the intellect of your child by being strict. It's something that they're born with. You won't encourage the level of hard work and sincerity for things. The values and virtues come by what you are. You are the role model. So it's where the journey has to begin from your within, and the guilt would never be there. So if at all it's there, and if we correct all our other patterns that probably we've been doing it in a certain way, let the guilt go and breathe happy. So these are some small and big tips, the 10 imperfect parenting tips. And I would want more inputs, more discussions and suggestions on that. So
Kirti, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'd like to start with the first one. Of course, some of this is you understand it, but it's very hard to put, of course, into practice. Would love to hear from people which tip did they resonate with. I think for me, it was definitely the hit and trial, because, we're so afraid of that. We're so afraid because we feel that if we do the hit and trial, we cannot experiment on our child. These precious things that we've brought into being, we need to read up. But and this is where my first question comes in. There's so much influx of information. I feel confused. Somebody tells me it's okay to be a tiger mom. The other person tells me I need to be a panda mom. So I am like, which one? What do I
you
do?
need to be the tiger mom or the other mom at different points of time. That's the hit and trial thing. When you have to stand for your child and there's something that you feel your child is going through and you are the tigress with her, you have to be the tiger mom. And the next day you could be the most chilled out person for her or with it. So you cannot be a tiger mom 24/7 for the entire parenting journey. And that's what it means, that you will take roles and you will switch, and you would know, that's your switch that goes on and off with the scenario and with what is required. We all, there are points of struggles, there are points of letting go, and therefore you switch. That's
Yeah,
what it
no,
matters.
I agree with you, but it's one of the ones, like I said, sometimes I think we read too much, So this
Absolutely.
kind of gives us a little bit more confidence that it's okay. Over
Yes.
to you, Urvi.
Sure. So first of all, very interesting conversation there, Richa. Really enjoyed it. Power struggles, letting them be, creating a bond with them, taking the path less traveled are words that really resonated with me. But as I do this, I'm really intrigued by different parenting styles. So what, according to you, is the difference between imperfect parenting, lazy parenting, and indifferent parenting?
Well, very, very different. In one of my points said engaged parenting. So indifferent, you can't be. You have to be a connected and an engaged parent. When it's like you're there, but even if you're not physically there, you're there in them. Because one thing, when I counsel my kids for something, I would tell them, just think one moment before you do something, that whether your mom or your dad approves or likes or dislikes about it, and you know what you're doing. So this is the kind of connection that you formed, and therefore indifferent is not the parenting style I would uh, ever want someone to be in. uh, Lazy parenting, of course, there are days when you want to be, there are days when you could get lazy and not be really doing things by the book. So lazy parenting is a part of imperfect parenting, acceptable, and on and off again. And when you get your break as being a lazy parent, not guided enough, not cooked well, not driven them to a class or two and got them missed and just hung around with them, because you were lazy, you're still a good parent. If they enjoyed being with you, it was fun, you did good. And we all need to do this slight lazy parenting once in a while to charge us up and charge the relationship at times. So that's how
Sure.
it will be different.
Understood. No, beautifully said. Thanks. Over to you, Sukirti.
Thank
So,
you.
one of the questions I always have, and especially right now, I see a lot of parents struggling with this one because of the emotions. We feel that there's so many, like you also talked about it, that communication and especially communicating with kids. But some of them, even though no matter how much you try to talk to them, you're not able to draw them out of their shell. And you know that there is, because of all these changes. How do you do that?
So when you said you talk to them, it's just that we're always talking to them like the parent, because you're supposed to do this because this is the time to do this. This is supposed to happen. I am telling you, I've learned it the hard way. I'm telling you the shortcut. They don't want to hear that. But sometimes if you are, jumping on with them on the sofa and say, oh my God, yaar, ye ho jata na, to kitna exciting ho jata. So communication is a good word, but the right way is also a tact that we all need to learn. We if I talk to them in the way, indirect communication, wherein when the example that I gave, and I said, you didn't observe but you react by saying and giving an example when I was young, and I didn't want to say this कि मैं बहुत मेहनत करती थी और मैं बहुत पढ़ती थी इसलिए मेरे अच्छे नंबर. No, you have to talk about your flaws. You have to talk about that, yes, you yourself have made all the mistakes, and therefore we resonate, we all do that. And when you've given your incidents of how you struggled with things certain times, how you got a little a spank from your mom, and therefore they know you're real. Then you know that she communicates that things that make sense. She's not always telling the good stories of her own childhood where she was the winner always, but you're also sharing on your own. And it's not that अरे आज हमें बात करनी है, we need to talk. That means that आज ही मम्मी को याद आया क्योंकि आज मेरे marks कम आए हैं. So that's not where you were supposed to talk. You were supposed to talk when nothing was happening, and on a chilled out Sunday you wanted to talk about your two bad stories, or stories which you weren't very good at. You may have to sometimes cook those stories to touch upon something that was in your mind to be talked about over the last 1 month. But this is how you need to communicate. So don't take out special times, sit at night sometimes and just chat, listen to them, hear their stories out. You will have that. That's enough communication. Non-verbal communication, the expressions on your face, they're telling you very sadly something and you're still giving a smile. It's okay. Oh, you scored only 17 out of 30. Okay. You didn't say anything at that moment. That's the strongest communication. They acknowledge, okay, she didn't shout, she didn't say much. That's where you're sitting in their room, and moment they're on their online class, they're side by side, that phone is on, and you would go and peep in to check कि कुछ और तो नहीं हो रहा है. And then, oh, mama's coming, hide, kar lo. That fear, that's the wrong communication. But you went in, you didn't say a word, you sat there, and what did you spark? A communication in the child inside कि कुछ नहीं बोली, कुछ नहीं कह रही है, it's okay, that but I don't have to do it. तब मैं खुद से I want to learn that I want to do the right thing, and that is the right communication. So work a lot on your non-verbal, the presence, the nitty-gritties of your small undoings, your wrongdoings to be spoken about, and that's the right way of doing it.
I love what Smita has written. We need to talk is a very scary line for kids. So true.
Yes.
It's a very scary line for us. If somebody
Yes.
tells that to us, we need to talk. I mean, I know that I will be like, oh my God, what did I do? Over to
I
you,
know.
Urvi.
And therefore they don't want to talk. Oh, I know, mom, I know. So they don't want to hear you out. So
I
yeah,
know.
don't start your talk with this statement.
Absolutely. So not be intimidating, basically. So, I feel as the child is born, the parent in us also takes birth, and we suddenly feel the responsibility to do effective parenting. We as parents are so aware today that we really want to give our child the best, but due to bandwidth constraints, and I'm a working parent myself, the sense of frustration that stems in every now and then, that somewhere I'm not able to give the best that I really would have otherwise. How do you think we can make peace with this feeling and have a sense of contentment as we start embracing imperfect parenting?
I think a lot is said in your question, in our discussion here, that we'll never be able to go by the blueprint, and this is a journey which does not have a compass, and we are navigating unknown shores, and this is we need to start with that statement in this journey. When I said it's the riskiest investment we make, so we already know that it's not for sure. So coming to contentment again is a very difficult point in time of our journey for parenting, because it won't ever happen. We always want to do more. We always want to capture more time, more energy, more finances to be able to do well. Most of the mothers who come with some issues with me would say, oh, ma'am, I have to do this job because it's for my kid I'm earning. So this is the whole vicious cycle that we're running in, kind of will never. Have you ever heard a parent saying, I'm so content with what I've done for my child, I've given I've finances, enough time, we gel so well. There's never ever somebody on this earth who would be able to say that. So I guess the very topic that we're talking on, that contentment should come from within. Okay, I couldn't do this, but if you have a child who grows up to be confident, does not have a desperate need to get something in life, to become popular, I think you've done good parenting, and that's what you should strive for. That contentment in you resonates with your child. And if somebody has a vision to be an average human being, get average things in all domains, you've been a successful parent. And that's what your journey should take you to, with your own, not bringing in your own discontentment for things that we can't do enough, we will never be able to.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah. No,
evening,
good to hear
Richa.
that I'm the only one who doesn't feel that way. So definitely
No,
resonate.
we all do that. So yes, we
I
need to
know.
be. If you laughed at the end of the day, if you smiled at the beginning of your day with your kids, you should be a content parent.
No, and I think I like what Smita is also saying, that, when you don't act like a superwoman, at least the kids also don't have this pressure to always be perfect. Because what I'm hearing, and I'm seeing this a lot, when they see their parents being these super achievers, always wanting to be perfect, there's a lot of pressure also on the kids to feel that they need to also behave that way. So sometimes if they see that, yes, we are human, it's okay for them also. I'll take Shalu's question next. Go ahead, Shalu. Shalu, I've asked you to unmute. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Shalu? We can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I'm asking you to unmute. Go ahead,
Yes,
Shalu.
ma'am. Yeah,
Go
ma'am, I
ahead.
was not able to unmute due to
Oh,
some.
okay, good. Sorry. Go
Good
ahead.
evening, Richa, ma'am.
Good evening, Shalini.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, you said ki do not Google and go for the creativity thing. And actually, I'm very good at drawing, and I like to draw and color. So one day, my daughter Kyra, she was having a competition या activity कह लो, Fruitopia in her school. So she was like, ki, Mama, I've learned to use scissors. So I will make the orange. You just draw the slice of orange and I'll cut it out, जो मैंने पहनना है, and the crown. She cut it out nicely. Obviously, it cannot be as perfect as I would have cut it out, but I just let her do it. And on that day, she was reciting nice lines, wearing that roughly cut orange slice and that crown. But the students of her class, they were wearing very nice professional grapes and all those apples and everything, which were clearly made by professionals, not even by their moms. And kids ko to bhool hi jao. But at the end of that competition or activity, I was in school at that time. Her dad made her attend. At the end of that, she called me up. She said, "Mama, क्या बना दिया था हमने? इतना गंदा लग रहा था दूसरे बच्चों के सामने." Everybody, Anya was looking super cute in her grapes. Ma'am even appreciated her dress. So I had nothing to tell her. मैं सोचती रही कि मैं उसे घर जाके क्या आंसर दूं. And when I came back, I said, "But you enjoyed doing it, na? It was creative. It was it was our imagination. You liked cutting it." She said, "नहीं मम्मा, आगे से ऐसा नहीं करेंगे. देखना आप मुझे कोई prize नहीं मिलेगा." And actually, she got consolation. Although her lines were very good, and Richa ma'am has seen her, she's very confident. और वो एक भी line skip नहीं किया था उसने. Although that consolation or even her first prizes don't reach her. I do not tell her कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ है. Unless the teacher tells in the online class, जो certificate आता है, that just reaches me and my husband. हम उसे नहीं बताते हैं कि आप consolation हो या आप first हो, even for that matter. But ma'am, इससे कैसे deal किया जाए? Because teachers actually appreciate the
Yes.
professional thing. That killed the creativity in my child right there. And I did not like it. Being a teacher for 16 years, I always appreciate creativity कि बच्चे खुद करें. But private school के teachers, sorry to say, but ऐसा नहीं करते हैं.
Good question there, Shalu, and I agree with you that a lot is done to actually impress the schools and the teachers and the competition and the presentability and curbing the creativity. And what if we all, I mean, one incident, you and your daughter came back and said this, and if you would have said that, no, maybe still we'll do it our own way, and even if we don't win, it's absolutely fine, but if doing your own thing was what mattered. As all grown-ups now, whatever competitions we won by being the best dressed or whoever won, did that presentability of a good holiday homework or the fancy dress that we went in created a sense of achievement, the real achievement of self-esteem, confidence, creativity, which would really matter when you grew up? A child who probably wore a professionally designed fancy dress and couldn't speak her lines well, is a consolation there for the presentability the school fancies, but actually the internal, the real thing, they knew that it was something that mom created or hired professionally, and therefore that's what we learn, that we can outsource things and create shortcuts. But that present moment, if I let go of the winning, that present moment, if I let go of, and I'm with my child to say it's absolutely fine not to win and do things your own way, wherein the competition talks in a way that, we all go out of the way to do the best presentabilities, and therefore we are actually ruining the internal sense of worth and strength in our children. What if certain situations in real life will happen when they are young adults and they'll face failures or they'll face rejections for the fancies that they've been used to? Do they have the internal strength to still accept them? So small failures here with your smiling assurance are very important than to give a surface elevation and then actually not let the inner strength ever take its role. Life is going to be tough for everybody,
Yes,
they're going to be on their own.
We as parents can compromise on their winning, but I was just asking how to make the child continue with that, with showing that creativity.
So when we talk about this, sometimes it's not that absolutely nahi karna hai. Of course, wherever there are times, so you say sometimes we'll do our own thing, sometimes we'll try to have a good, perfect one, and a combination of both matters. So this is how your answers and your thing has to be. You not.
That's a good practical approach also, because
That's what I told her, that it's okay not to be perfect, even if we could not make perfect grapes, but you spoke your lines really well and you liked cutting that orange slice. And did you like it? She said, yes, I liked it, Mama. I like coloring it. So I said, we will continue doing it and we will reach perfection one day too.
So
आपको अच्छा लगेगा आप भी
I would say it's more in our minds as mothers. ये जो आपके
Yeah.
मन में अटक रहा है is more, worrying. The child would have forgotten the second, third day. They would not keep asking, "मम्मी अगली बार orange ठीक बनाओगे ना?" It's still in
हाँ
our minds, and therefore it is lingering on, and you want to ask. If you'll forget it and you'll move on with the sense of pride that she will be able to deal with bigger difficulties with this example, you will be at peace.
yes
Nir-
thank you
Thank you. Nirvi, go ahead. Nirvi, go ahead.
Richa, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can.
Okay, hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So my child is 2.5 years old, and
Okay, I think we lost you. She was.
I know this must seems to. Hello.
We lost you for a bit, Nirvi. Can you repeat?
Yeah. My child is 2.5 years old. Yeah, and I'm sure you're getting this question a lot. The thing is, when the child is adamant in what he wants, you cannot do anything else. Like, it's so difficult to distract. It's so difficult to do anything at that time, because if you want a chocolate, you want a chocolate. If you want to go out, you want to go out. If you want something, you want something. It's so difficult to distract and to handle those tantrums. And as first time parents, it's like, a big thing that you have to go through. And sometimes the second thing is the power struggles, because brushing your teeth is so difficult, sometimes wearing clothes, sometimes bathing. So, every day there's a struggle. So I don't know, I'm sure you've got a lot of this question. And Sukriti is also, Kirti is also laughing. I'm sure she's also going through this. So
Of
it
course,
would be really
I
great.
too go through that. It's perfectly normal to be going through this. We all then we need to prioritize. By this time, there are maybe 10 things, for example, in a day that stubbornness is going to get stuck with, and every routine activity might come back with a sense of nahi karna, brush nahi karna, abhi nahi nahana, abhi nahi khana, abhi ye nahi hoga. And it just goes, you can't keep juggling every time. You have your own patience lost. And so when I said we know, by a certain pattern we get to know, okay, why don't I prioritize again, what things am I, when I said let's have pizza every day and let's have the screen time together, what I actually wanted was this query to be resolved, where certain things, children reach this level when they've heard a no on perhaps 10, 8 out of 10 times when they've demanded for something.
Mhm.
Of course, there could be child with some difficulty if that is separate. Usually they would have, they would want to say a no to everything, because on a pattern of 8 out of 10, we've been saying no, no, no. And then they reach a point that they do not want to do things that could be the preference to, you need to know what is that he or she wants to do. If you're saying, अभी ये नहीं करना है, तो वो अभी क्या करना चाह रहा है? अभी क्या वो टीवी देख रहा है, मोबाइल लेके बैठा है और कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, and then why, what is it? So from the next day, stop saying no on things that are not really, really urgent and at the moment required. What is the alternative statement to my saying of those things? How urgent it is for that particular activity? Yes, your basic daily living activities are important, brushing, bathing. And if you get a revolt on every of those activities as well, then there is some undoing that you need to do in terms of probably the way things have been done over a period of time. You've been running by the clock, or you've been, so there is something we need to understand the child's behavior, the background of it, because every child is an appreciation seeker. Every child wants to comply to what we ask them to do. So if you are facing some non-compliance, if you are facing that doesn't work with any amount of appreciation, then there is some undoing I need to do in my approach. And therefore delving it by going through all the discussions that we did is important. And as I said, certain non-urgent things, if for example रोज एक टॉफी खा लेगा और उससे वो बाकी काम बेटर करेगा, तो I rather let it be. That's where you weigh and understand that why I'm stopping. 3 things, if I start saying yes to immediately, you will be much better off. So stubbornness is a two-way street. आप नहीं मान रहे हो इसलिए वो अड़ रहा है. There will never be something. So we need to look at the other side of it. So just go through the whole scenario, and then maybe you'll be able to sort out things. And if still you feel things are beyond that, we may sometime meet personally and talk about it.
Okay, sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Sarmeet also has a question. I'm going to take that as the last one. She's asking, I'm asking her to unmute. I don't know if she's able to, but how does one
Hi.
deal with... Go ahead, Sarmeet. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for a lovely session. I do want to understand because as a single parent, you have a lot of struggles. You're missing, as much as love that you want to give to your child and as much as affection that you want to give to your child, they tend to miss that one little part. I do, I'm not going to say that I've done everything and whatever it is. Okay, maybe I'm not being able to put it across properly, but there is a struggle. There is a certain struggle, whether it is financial, whether it is psychological, whether it is emotional. I know for a fact that they are better off without this gentleman in their life because he was physically abusive. But how do you deal with that struggle on a day-to-day basis? How do you deal with the fact that, I'll give you a small example. So, my daughter had to submit a work. It was important. It is, it is at the end of the day, a career-defining moment for her. She had to do that. Now, as a parent, I feel that if I had another support system, one would have scolded, one would have loved her. Creating a balance, so to speak, the way we saw it with our parents, the way somebody, mom scolded, papa ne pyar kar liya. But here I'm having to do both. And sometimes I don't know where the line blurs. I don't know where to go. Or with my child, with my younger one, where, he throws a tantrum about something and you're like, you feel, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you want a balance sometimes where I'm trying, but I'm struggling. And sometimes I fail where I feel that, and then the guilt that, oh shit, why, all these years back, did I take the wrong decision? Knowing very well, it's like I went into the well myself. So how do you deal with that guilt of parenting? And it's not their fault. Yeah, it's not their fault at all, because it's not like they asked to be born into this world. It was my decision. So how do you deal with that guilt, and how do you deal with the daily parenting challenges that you keep coming up with? Yeah.
So yeah, Sarmeet, I understand your situation, and I do obviously say yes, a single parent is another difficult situation you're in. But I guess when you gave the examples कि एक parent ने चलो प्यार कर दिया, दूसरे ने डांट दिया, तो there is somebody to go back. Of course, I relate with that, and feel that the missing the missing position of the father in your case is difficult for you in all physical aspects as well as emotional aspects. And I know once you are in this situation, there is a lot you may have gone through, and hence it would have automatically made you strong on certain aspects. Things that you're saying, don't rely on the fact कि अगर ये होता तो things different hoti, which now you're not there. Therefore, having those statistics, the static components of if your situation, and feeling more power that I am the only person who would decide, and I don't have to juggle with another person's viewpoint, but taking opinions from people you trust and their opinions matter is very important and will make things easier. Nowadays, a lot of times when we deal with children's difficulties and behaviors, we see more problems or difficulty in managing behaviors when there are bigger families, joint families, because दादी ने ऐसे मना किया है, दादू ने ये मना किया है. And sometimes when it blows down to only one person or two people to be, finally taking a call for their kids, it gets very streamlined, because you don't have many people to put their noses in your decisions. So we as human beings have this normal tendency to always look at the other greener side and feel कि मैं उसमें हूँ. One, I would really want you to, if you are in this situation with whatever background, make peace with it, have control, because none of your decisions, even in a normal mother-father scenario, would have gone absolutely right. So it's I don't think you need to put yourself in those shoes and always think from that perspective. Change the thought process. Take right opinions, seek right guidance for bigger decisions like career or any the things that you said, and believe in yourself. With if your kid is that age now, so they would have good information themselves. Sit with them and make we are the right people doing the right things right way, and we may falter, and it's okay to do it. So do it that way. We will never ever have, even if there are parents or both the parents present, still one of them could get adamant with a decision which everybody else knows is wrong, and he or she is the decision maker or the authoritative personality. Things can still go wrong. So I don't think this should make you feel any less in your position, and go ahead with what you're doing with good belief in yourself, with righteous attitude and righteous opinions from people whom you trust.
So Sarmeet says thank you. We all say thank you. I think, like I said, a lot of the points really hit home. A lot of it makes us think. Any last closing words that you'd like to say as we end for today?
So I think take pride in the all the good that you're doing. You're doing enough, more than enough. Sleep with a sense of contentment. Laugh a lot, and stay put, because what you're doing is best, and none amount of information anywhere can ever justify what you do. So that's it. Be imperfect as you are.
And how does one connect with you?
Okay, so I can share my mail ID, and I could receive mails, and we could connect. I'm consulting at Gangaram. You could take appointment from there in case you want to consult there. And my clinics are Nurturing Paths in Gurgaon and Sensitivity in Delhi. That's where I'm available. Any other help I can do, I've shared my mail ID in the chat box, so I could be connected.
Well, thank you, Richa. Thank you, Urvi. And on behalf of Lean in India and Sipping Thoughts Alive, we are very excited. And I think a lot of these things will remind us how we could be a little bit more imperfect tomorrow.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you so much for having me over. It was a lovely interaction and good questions from the audience as well. Thank you, Urvi. Thank you, Sukirti, for having me over.
Well, wishing everyone a very good night and a great weekend.
Bye-bye.